Mario Kart World launched on June 5th, 2025 as the flagship Day 1 title for the Nintendo Switch 2. After a long wait for a new mainline entry, heavy marketing, an $80 price, and the pressure of launching a new console, some players and commentators have already started to ask a direct question: has it failed? Let's take an overall look at Mario Kart World and try to come to our own conclusions on whether that answer would be a yes or a no. Mario Kart has been a consistent seller and multiplayer staple for over 3 decades. The gap before World, however, stood out massively. With Mario Kart 8 releasing on the Wii U in 2014, the deluxe version then arrived on the Switch in 2017, and it's received ongoing support for years. But by the time the Switch 2 arrived, it had been roughly 11 years since the last full new mainline entry, which is a long time to wait. In April 2025, the company formally revealed Mario Kart World Tour during the Switch 2 Direct. This was followed by a dedicated Direct on April the 17th. The game then launched the same day as the console. As Nintendo always do, they tried to have a really big mainline release alongside a brand new console when it releases. They did this with the Switch 1 and Zelda Breath of the Wild. The trailers highlighted a connected open world, 24 drivers, dynamic weather, new movement options such as rail and wall riding, and a knockout tour mode. Expectations were astronomically high. For many, this was positioned as both the next evolution of the series and a key software pillar for the new hardware. As a launch title, Mario Kart World carried dual responsibilities: demonstrate the Switch 2's capabilities and help drive early hardware sales. The game was priced at $79.99. Nintendo also offered a console plus game bundle that lowered the effective cost for many buyers. That bundle proved very popular in the early months and contributed significantly to the game's initial sales figure. However, this immediately got people talking about the price. Production of that specific bundle eventually ended once the launch window had passed. The title was therefore not judged only as a Mario Kart sequel, but it was also judged as a system seller on a new console generation. But this is where we get into the critiques, and the reception has been pretty mixed in quite a few areas. The first main critique was the $80 price. It drew criticisms immediately as soon as it was announced, particularly when Mario Kart 8 Deluxe remained widely available and fully featured at a lower cost with lots more content. The free roam and open world exploration received divided responses. Some appreciated the ability to drive between courses, take photos, and explore with friends. But others found that the world was less engaging than the marketing suggested, describing it as an idea that still needed to be further developed. People also criticised the certain unlock and interface systems, limitations in online multiplayer relative to expectations, and a sense of among some players that the core track design and overall feel did not clearly surpass 8 Deluxe. Post-launch updates also prompted negative user reviews from players unhappy with specific balance and feature changes. A portion of the audience continues to view the game as a solid but not transformative entry after the long wait. And that seems to be the main criticism, that it didn't exactly surpass what Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was for such a long amount of time. But then we look at some of the positives that we did get with Mario Kart World, because it's not all doom and gloom. So firstly, the critic scores settled generally favourable, with many outlets highlighting the refined racing mechanics, production polish, soundtrack, and the jump to 24 players, which a number of reviewers described as one of the stronger new modes in the series. And it was a bit of a shake-up from what we were used to. Commercially, the game has performed strongly. It became the best-selling title on the Switch 2, with sales reaching into the tens of millions when counting both standalone purchases and those included on console bundles. It was a huge contribution to early Switch 2 momentum and continues to see regular multiplayer use. The connected course structure and new movement techniques have been credited, with adding variety to longer races and skill expressions. For many players, it simply delivers the accessible, chaotic multiplayer experience that the series is known for, but now running on much more powerful hardware. But a lot of people in the community seem to have this overarching feeling that it was something that had all the potential in the world, but just fell short. So where does that leave us on the question of whether Mario Kart World has failed? Well, if we're looking on commercial metrics, it's not failed at all. Strong sales, consistent multiplayer activity, and a role in launching the Switch 2, which points to clear success by those measures. Critically, it also sits in solid territory, with particular praise for the racing and knockout tour. However, when we get into the creative side and in terms of fan expectations, the picture is much more mixed. The open world direction divided opinion. The price raised the bar for what many expected, and most people are really unhappy since that is pretty much expected to be the new bar set for prices. Some players also still prefer the tighter, more content-rich experience of 8 Deluxe. And whether the game fully capitalizes on its connected world may depend on future updates and additional content. In short, Mario Kart World is a commercial success, with a generally favourable critical response and a polarised creative reception. It succeeded at several of the jobs it was given, whilst leaving some of the higher ambitions and long-term expectations still open to debate. How it lands for any individual player tends to depend on what they valued most after the long wait. Pure multiplayer chaos, a bigger technical leap, or a more radical reinvention on the formula. But what has your experience been so far with Mario Kart World? Have you been happy with it? Have you not been so happy with it? Did it live up to expectations? Did it not? Or are you in this sort of area where I see a lot of fans which say it had all of the potential but just fell short? However, it's a great building block for the next game, which hopefully we don't have to wait over a decade for. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.